Detroit is it's a tough town with a long history of dealing with hard times. But when President Obama sent the head of GM packing Monday and gave Chrysler a month to come up with a plan for survival, it led many Americans to ask why Detroit was having its license suspended while Wall Street was given an easy pass.
I get it. That's a good one. Yeah. Carl Levin is a Democrat and the senior senator from Michigan. Senator, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. That is one big question that a lot of people have today. Does it seem like executives from the car companies are being given a harder time than bank executives?
Well, I think that there's been a double standard in a number of ways. The UAW was told they had to give back a significant amount of pensions and health care benefits.
Well, they're telling bondholders that they have to take a cut as well. It's not just labor. I mean, it's also the bondholders. Both sides have to come to the table to keep this company out of bankruptcy.
They sure do, and they haven't done it yet, and that's the big problem here, that the bondholders have not come to the table yet. They have not offered the kind of compromises which will help these companies to survive. And what they're facing, I believe, is that they're either going to take a haircut or take a bath, because if this company goes into bankruptcy, then the bondholders will take a total bath instead of taking a big haircut. So there's a difference in that regard too. But I was referring to the pensions. We were told that AIG is not going to go after the pensions of people who got these big pensions, and yet the UAW members, by the millions, are told they have to give back some of their pensions and their retiree benefits. That's where some of the double standard lies as well.
Okay, so Senator, some of my viewers are getting hold of me on Twitter, and they say they want to know not if it's happening. They already think there is a double standard. They're with you on that, but they want to know why. Why is there a double standard in your mind for the way we treat the folks in Detroit, Michigan, as opposed to the way we treat the guys who work in Lower Manhattan?
I honestly don't know what the origin is, what the cause of it is. I just wish there were more people who were working this issue for the administration, who came out of a manufacturing sector, who come out of a working class background, blue-collar background.
Wait a second, Senator.
I'd like to finish if I could. But I can't attribute motive because I'm just not, I haven't heard an explanation that's satisfactory, and I don't want to just guess as to what the motive is.
What about all the bankers from Lehman that are out of work? I mean, I think they certainly feel like they're in at least the same position, if not worse, than the automakers.
I'm sure that they are in the same position, and individually they're suffering just the way individual auto workers make. I'm talking about what the demands have been, and the demands here have been not to recover the pensions, just go after those pensions the way they should go after them, but the demands, as far as the financial industry is concerned, that those demands have been made on the UAW.
So would you like to see a change in leadership of the banks? I mean, are there specific CEOs that you think need to go?
I'm not going to make judgment on the banks. It's not for me to make the judgment. I'm talking about the same standard being applied, whether it's that people stay or people leave, or whether people's pensions are going to be gone after, or whether they're going to be preserved.
Right,
I think there ought to be a single standard.
Senator, let me ask this in a different way then, because we're looking at the auto industry. They have a task force solely devoted to the auto industry. There's an auto czar. It was a loan and now a deadline when they need to become viable, have this plan in place before the government will do anything. It's basically, as we've been describing it, do or die deadline. Do you think there are lessons to be learned in the way that the government has been dealing with the auto industry that should be applied to the way we're dealing with the financial sector?
Well, I think there's generally a determination on the part of the administration, which is fair, that before they can go further down the line, that there's going to have to be financial restructuring. I think that's something which is a fair requirement. It just has got to be evenly applied across the board. And so I don't think we can object to the transparency which has been required. I don't see any review of the economic plan required of these financial institutions before 150 or 60 billion dollars went out to AIG or to the banks.
Yeah.
We can't even find out who the banks have lent the money to. There's so little transparency in terms of the financial institutions compared to the auto companies who've had to lay out all of their books and records, and I have no objection to that, but I think we ought to apply the same same standard to banks and financial institutions, and that standard has not been applied in terms of the openness of the who has received the money. We couldn't even find out for a long period of time who the money was lent to by AIG. It took us forever just to get that information.
Well, right, and Senator Levin, if you're having trouble getting the information, imagine what it's like for taxpayers around the country who don't have the sort of clout that you have. We appreciate your time. Thanks so much for spending a few minutes with us this afternoon.
Sure, happy to be with you.
You know, it's interesting though, because there is some questions about why this isn't more transparent. Why aren't we doing more to make sure we know where our taxpayer money's going? I don't like it.